Welcome to Launch Today, the podcast focused on what it takes to get your new business to $1 million in revenue. From marketing tactics to incredible guest interviews, we focus on sharing behind-the-scenes insight from masters in their field. If you want to grow your revenue for your startup or your business, you don't want to miss today. Because I've known Inbar Yagur for 4 years, some number of years, I don't know how many. And she has an incredible background experience in growing and scaling and marketing startups of all over the world in a variety of different tactics. She's not a one-note Inbar. And today, having Inbar here, co-founder and CEO of Radical B2B Tech Marketing as our guest, her journey is a tapestry of purple creativity and strategy and vision. With a background in content marketing and UX, she left a significant mark in various roles, including Director of Content and Product Marketing at Lucia, VP of Marketing at Growthspace. Her passion for storytelling and teaching shine through in all her professional pursuits. I see her all the time on LinkedIn sharing, she gave this talk, she gave that talk. And one different thing I think about Inbar compared to most people I see posting on LinkedIn is her willingness for radical transparency. She's a radically transparent mom living in Israel right now and dealing with a lot of the complications around life as a mom and as a business owner there right now. I don't think we're going to go into politics at all, but just except no matter where you are on the political spectrum, it's hard there right now. And everybody, all in that part of the world, is having a rough time. And anybody who's got the courage and the gumption to launch something and stick with it in this market has got stuff to share that makes her an inspiration for entrepreneurs balancing work and life, because there's a lot of both going on for you right now. Get ready for an episode filled with practical wisdom and transformative ideas. Inbar, welcome to Launch Today.
Thank you for having me. Can I start with a disclaimer? Because there's no way that you can ignore where I am located. So I will say a very important thing. Hate is terrible, whether you are hating Jews or hating Muslims. War is terrible, whether you are a victim of it on this side or another side. Violence is terrible, no matter who you worship or where you live. And that is what I have to say. Everything sucks.
Everything
Violence
sucks.
is terrible.
Yes.
Nobody should be suffering, no matter who they believe in, where they live. Everybody should just, if I could be if I had one wish, it would be for everybody to have the resources, to have a comfy couch with a warm blanket where they could order pizza every night and watch Marvel movies on Disney+. That is my wish for the world.
That should be uncontroversial. Somehow it's not, but it should be.
I know. But that's it. And we should leave it at that.
I think that's a good place to table any discussion that would get any of us in hot water.
Love
right?
for all, hate for none.
Love for all, hate for none. I think that's totally fair. So, with your co-founder of Radical B2B Tech Marketing,
yes,
and you're new. You launched in October 10th, I believe, was your official launch date, right?
Actually, September 5th was we were supposed to start October 10th. I'm co-founder. I co-founded with my brother, by the way, which is everybody's. Are you sure?
Spicy?
It was the best idea ever.
Oh wow!
Seriously,
good.
No cynicism. He's amazing. We're like yin and yang. He's a creative. He's former NVIDIA, and spent about 10 years in ad agencies, as well.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah, it's the family business.
Indeed.
So you launched in early October. You're new.
Yes.
And you do rather like I do, and I find this super interesting personally. You do go to market. But
yes,
I think you do it in a totally different way. And I've got you and I've got somebody else on later on this month who I saw at an event last week. He's like, don't spend $1 on marketing before you have PMF. Don't spend $1 on ads. And I'm like, I got to get you on my show because we are completely opposed. We're not completely opposed, you and I, but we have some different views. Talk to me a little bit about how you address go-to-market for startups with your different innovative take on things.
I call what we do foundational marketing. Okay? I think that we're like what people need to do before they call Trevor.
Okay.
Okay? So I think, especially if you're a B2B company trying to sell any sort of product, you need a presence online and you need to be trustworthy. You need to have a proper LinkedIn page. You need to have a proper website. You need to have a brand. You need to at least start standing for something. It doesn't mean you have to build one of the things I hate most, let's start here, is these early stage founders who get seed money and then end up spending $100K on a brand book full of fluff. No, this is not, I hate that more than anything.
Yes.
This is not
Yes.
what we do. Okay.
I think most founders are smart enough these days. I haven't talked to anybody in 2 years who's made that mistake. Being past that particular bit of flim-flammery. But I agree, it is disgraceful.
Yeah. So we do what we call foundational marketing. And we do it for both for early stage startups and for later stage startups who are launching new products. So we're not in the execution stage of it, but we do all of the research that is needed to understand the market, understand where the competition is, understand where the company needs to be positioned in terms of the market. So obviously you don't know where you are as a company if you don't know who your competitors are, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know how you want to talk about yourself as a company if you don't know how your competitors are talking about you, right? Especially, by the way, if you're still in stealth, the way you're going out, you're gonna make some noise. What are your competitors gonna say? How are you? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different things that need to be kept in mind when you're talking about yourself as a company. And so what we do is we do a lot of research. We talk to the founders. We do workshops that are not boring. This is another thing. We don't lock people in rooms for 8 hours and make them want to jump out of a window. We do really fun, creative workshops where we talk about what the company believes in and really try to get to the bottom of what they need. And then we help them build their marketing foundations. We help them build their initial message, their initial brand, their initial taglines, just the really basic things that they need, their initial ICP, their initial just go-to-market approach, like who do we want to go to first? How do we think the best way to go to them is, right? Do we think that this is the right odd, like for example, for a later, I'll give you an example of, we just did this for a later stage startup. I won't say their name. They're actually very established. They're not even a startup anymore. They've been around for 10 years, right? They just are about to go to market with a new persona, right?
There you go.
And they didn't have the bandwidth to do all of the work on that. And so we spent a good 3-4 weeks studying the product, understanding the persona they wanted to go after, mapping it out, understanding what the organizational structure. And when I say studying the persona, I don't mean, oh, they like to read Highlights magazine and their name is Tom R&D and he likes to drink coffee at Starbucks. No, I don't do that kind of BS, right? No, it's they work at companies with this revenue. This is the organizational structure. This is what they're looking for. Here's the decision-making hierarchy, that kind of thing, right? Really practical kinds of things. We looked at parallel companies that do similar solutions, really built out a very robust, this is the audience that you're going after, right? This is how we suggest we approach them. In this case, we suggested a combination of SDR chase with business development with branding campaigns on LinkedIn for this particular audience, right? And then
That works real well. I've done it.
there you go. And then, because this was a specific kind of enterprise customer, and then because we suggested that, we also gave them creative concepts for campaigns for this. We also named the product in this case. And this is a mature company. There's another early stage company where we have literally helped them come up with their initial slogan. We're helping them build the website. Like we're helping them understand which website, which content management system they're going to use. And we're going to be working with their designer to work out a brand language. And we're helping them understand who they are as a brand. And they're not going to get a piece of paper. They're going to get a website with copy and wireframes, right? And so that's why we call it foundational marketing. It's very practical. It's very useful. They get this is go and run at the end of it, right? But it's also and please tell me if I'm rambling too much, but I think the other thing that I think is really important on this is we always try to put a fun twist on it. The thing about bringing my brother into it is he's a genius. Seriously, he is. He's gonna see this and blush, but he's a creative genius. And so when we come in with the brand and with the creative concepts, the stuff he does, I'm so proud of. I can't wait until we get to put this on our website and show off the kind of the stuff that he's been bringing. And so we're bringing a lot of, I was a VP marketing for a really long time. And so we're bringing a lot of the knowledge that I have from establishing brands and bringing brands to market. I brought a lot of startups to market, not just Growth Space, Anyword, a bunch of others. He's done campaigns for Alfa Romeo. He's done campaigns for NVIDIA. He's done campaigns for huge brands. And he's bringing that. And so we're putting that together in this yin and yang. So you get what I think is a really good foundational plan and really practical assets. And also like really cool creatives.
That's awesome.
Really cool creatives.
So
anyway,
I think
that's it.
relevant to a listener here, I think you can actually unpack what you just said at what is it that I, as a founder, really need to do as my foundational marketing, right?
Yes.
I need to know not my ICP is Tom and he drinks coffee and reads USA Today.
Yeah.
I need to know my ICP is Tom. He works at a company with this size. This is who has say in anything he buys.
Yes.
And this is how you give Tom the materials to convince them how to buy your thing.
Precisely.
Like that, and then say,
Yes.
with all this information, now I got to build a website that speaks to Tom, and then has pages that speaks to Tom's boss, and Tom's dotted report, and all of this, so that
Yes.
I am now equipped with everything I need to help to sell, and not here's a beautiful 38-page brand guide with lockups and all the logos vertical and horizontal with the white space around. Like, this is all worthless. So
Yeah.
you as a founder, right? I mean, Inbar and other people who are experts in this can do it for you, but it needs done, right? And
Yeah.
if you're building your first time and you're like, I'm a product guy, I know from marketing, answer these questions, and you've got
Absolutely.
the basics now of what you need to get your first couple of customers on board.
And here's the thing: it's if you don't. And by the way, the early stage that we're doing this for, we're doing this to help them find design partners, and we absolutely need to do that because they're going to perfect strangers and saying, "Hey, let me get in your code," right? And a person's not going to let you. They're not going to let some random dude from Lord knows where come in and dig around in their systems if they don't have something that shows them is established and trustworthy. And so
Yep.
they really do. They need to understand their customer. They need to understand how to speak to them, even if they, and by the way, this is pre Trevor, right? They're not ready for Trevor. They'll be ready for Trevor after they've got 5 design partners and a good case study and they're ready to do some acquisition. But pre-Trevor, they can't just come out of nowhere and they might as well be a dude with a trench coat opening up and showing some code if they don't
Hey,
have
you want to buy some code?
what's a code?
I like it.
If they don't have an established website that gives them some credibility and if they don't have an understanding of who their ICP is and how to speak to them effectively. And sometimes it's too early to go to the amazing and talented crowd tamers.
Excellent. All right, so you've got a ton of experience in content marketing.
I do.
That's your thing, that Taboola, and then at and building these pieces. So I worked out for my team. We had actually for this podcast, we're building out like I'm going to say it's maybe 25-step like sequence for how you market this. Okay, fine. I've got 5 people. We can divert this workload around a bunch of folks, right? And we're all in marketing. New founder, right, knows they have to do marketing.
Yes.
I'll give you my wife as an example. She's really just started to dive into being a nonprofit. She's the chairman of the board for a nonprofit out of, I think, New England. And she's like super into the space. She's like, I'm not going to post to LinkedIn because it's dumb. And I'm like, So new business, whether you're whatever, nonprofit space, whatever, not really a marketer. What is the content marketing you say, okay, this is your minimum viable content. You got to do this to get some traction, to get going. And not just be like, oh, I'll just do word of mouth and grow slowly. Don't do that.
So I'll tell you something funny. I had somebody come in, I think off camera, I told you that I've had several sales calls where I have said, you do not need me. I think one of the problems that a lot of early stage companies have is that they want to do things that they should be doing 3 years from now. Okay?
Yeah.
And that is a huge problem. Okay? If you're one day into your company, you should not be opening a blog. You should not be starting a newsletter. You should not be, this is not what you need to be doing. I'm not saying you shouldn't be promoting your product. I actually think it's very smart, for example, if you're building your website, to have an SEO person come in and look and make sure that you're set up for good keywords, but that doesn't mean that you need a content writer building up your blog. That's not That's a growth stage thing. That's not an early stage thing, right? What I think that you need to do in that place is pick one thing and just do the one thing consistently. And how do you pick niches is where it's at, I think, regardless, even if you're a big company, right? Like, you want to talk about divisiveness and the way this world is going right now. Everybody's in their own woo-woo bubbles, right? Let's just be. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was sure everybody knew about this thing that was happening on TikTok. Because I'm on TikTok all the time. I don't even remember what the thing was. I was down a TikTok rabbit hole, and it was glorious. And nobody knew what the heck I was talking about. And it was like, how do you not know about this blah blah thing on TikTok that everybody's talking about? And this is the reality, is that everybody's in their own little universe. And if you're a company that's just starting out, figure out which universe you belong to. And just go and play in that universe. That's it.
Gotcha.
And if you're not sure which universe you belong to, just take an educated guess and hang out there for a while. And if you see that's not working, then take another educated guess and try there.
Or pick one you'll do. I'm on everywhere because I'm an idiot. And
Yeah.
so like I'm on Threads and I'm on TikTok, although I don't post on TikTok very often. I'm on Meta and I'm on Mammoth and so all these places. All the time I'll see people on one platform be like, "Oh, I should be on like LinkedIn."
Yeah.
But I hate LinkedIn. I
Yeah.
can't make myself do it. And I'm like, then don't. Don't be there. If you don't want to, don't make yourself post on the place you hate. Because then the only way you'll stick to the content engine if you enjoy doing it enough, right?
Yeah.
I ended up kind of landing on LinkedIn because out of every place I post, every time I post on LinkedIn, someone's going to say something on my content.
Yeah.
Even back when I only had 1,000 followers. Now I have almost 6K. It's still the same kind of. That, awesome, right? I got some feedback. Cool, I'll keep posting here. I don't like posting on TikTok, so I don't. Like,
But also, I don't
Okay.
think your audience is there, right? So you need to, you need to at least have a basic understanding of who your audience is before you make a decision, right? So I was talking to this company, the startup, and they have been posting on LinkedIn, and all of their marketing has been done on LinkedIn. But they sell to SMBs, and like the kind of people they sell to, I'm like, are you really sure you should be going there and not Instagram?
it depends on what SM. If they sell to plumbers or something, the plumber's not on LinkedIn. No, you don't
Exactly.
find me there.
I'm not going to say, I don't want to give away like too much, but basically,
Right.
yes. Let's say code word plumbers. Plumbers are not going to be on LinkedIn. What are you doing? Why are you advertising on LinkedIn when you're selling to plumbers? Why are you advertising on LinkedIn when you're selling to cosmetic or manicurists? That's not, manicurists are on Instagram. Hairstylists are on TikTok. Like, figure out where, I should know. They spend way too much time on there, and book talk too. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Book talk is a
let's-
whole thing I know.
Oh my God.
I'm old enough and grumpy enough that I still go to Goodreads and read instead of go to TikTok and watch about a book. But whatever, it's fine.
We will stop talking about my TikTok obsession, but I have been sucked into book talk, Trevor.
Oh man.
It is a mood. But anyway, the point is that figure out where your people are and go to where your people are and post where your people are. And there's no way that you're going to cover everything, especially in this day and age. I'm going to talk war for just a second, and I really hope I don't regret this, okay?
Okay.
Okay, just for one tiny little second. Okay, so after the terrible, horrible started, and it's terrible, horrible for everybody, all sides terrible, horrible, LinkedIn became a show. It was just like everybody yelling.
But also, I would note this is 100% who's in your network because
Yes.
I didn't see any of that. That's not in my LinkedIn.
Right, so my LinkedIn became an...
The complete
Everybody
crap
was
fest.
like,
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, I didn't do that. But I was suffering. Okay? I was suffering because pain in the world, and I want peace, and I want everybody to be safe and happy everywhere. And I was suffering. And all of the people that were going, they were getting engagement, but they were getting engagement from themselves.
Yeah.
And I started doing this thing. It wasn't for anybody but myself. Okay. You mentioned the radical transparency thing. I do this thing on LinkedIn a lot where I go on and I just write about stuff that's on that I have on my chest. And all I was doing was writing about my children and how my children were feeling and how I was feeling helpless with my children. Just the total feeling of helplessness, which is what happens when you don't see. Here's the thing that people don't understand. You have no control over your government. Fucking ask any American under any president they didn't vote for. and so you're sitting there, no control, in this terrible, horrible. And so all I could do was write. And LinkedIn's algo changed dramatically over the last year. And stuff that used to get quite a few impressions, it just dropped, dude, and like significantly. And in all this that was happening, every couple of days I would just come in and I would just talk about my hurt, talk about my feeling of helplessness, talk about my children. There's no politics, because politics. There was no blaming of anything. It was just me feeling like shit and talking about the helplessness of this terrible, horrible. And I have never gotten that many impressions in the entire time I've been on LinkedIn. And B, it wasn't in a bubble. I had people commenting from everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Second, third degree. I had nobody saying anything anti-Semitic, anything hateful, because I wasn't being hateful. I was saying what was true, which is this effing sucks for everybody. This just wanted to stop.
And it's awful for, particularly, you think of, how do you tell an 8-year-old, right? Life is just scary.
I have a 6-year-old who's suffering. What am I supposed to do with that? My poor 6-year-old. Yeah. And I can't even think. 6-year-olds, like, just thinking about it brings tears to my eyes. Yeah. And it sucks. And that's all I would, and I just wrote about how much it sucked. And it reached people. And it broke through. And all of the, and none of that broke through. None of that broke through.
No, that was all in the same loop. It was just this echo chamber of each other.
Right. And that's what happens with, and I'm just going to say that, I'm just going to call it out. That's what happens with the Trumpists, and that's what happens with the Qs, and that's what happens with the Biden people, and that's what happens with the AOC people, and that's what happens
with your hustle culture bros. It happens
with your
like
hustle
any
culture, and everybody. And the only thing that comes through at the end of the day is humanity. Yeah. And the only thing that comes through at the end of the day is being genuine. And I'm a person who believes in being real. I'm a person who never, ever hides who I truly am. You know this. I've never, you know who I am. I always come from a place of love. I always come from a place of compassion. And I've always found that when I talk from a place of love, honesty, and compassion, whether it's towards others and towards myself, I help me and I help others. And this world is so effed up right now.
Yeah.
So effed up right now. Just find a place where you can be genuine. And yes, even as a brand, find a place where you can just be genuine with people and find your people and stay out of the... If I have one more, like, CEO of some sort of shoe company weigh in politically about the situation in whatever, I'm going to scream. I don't care what you think, bro. I do not effing care what some influencer in Indiana thinks about. I don't care. Like, seriously. I'm sorry. Stay in your lane. Love, be compassionate, and be genuine. And that's the only way you're going to break through the noise. And I have proof. I literally have mathematic proof. You have
math proof. Which was actually, my next question was going to be all about this radical transparency and what it changed for you. And I think it is, so there's two sides to that, right? Yeah. One of them is just being open and honest allows other folks to feel safe to have an open, honest discussion, which is important. Yeah. But there's also a reward for it, right? This increased reach you got, this increased visibility you got,
Yeah.
means people have heard about Radical
Yeah.
in a way that maybe they didn't. I think that's something for a lot of founders who are indie builders,
Yeah.
right? They're doing the what is it, build in public, right?
Yeah.
Which is a similar thing to radical
Yeah.
transparency. Saying, hey, let me share the ups and downs of my journey, right? What's worked and what
Yeah.
hasn't worked. And I think being able to be open about that, good or bad, as you are building and succeeding and building and failing, and hopefully succeeding again, is what will attract people to you. Because we're in a world now where I can have AI write something that's very believable as a human in 10
Yeah.
seconds. I'll give you a hint. A good chunk of the intro for the show is AI written, right? Not just for
Yeah.
you, for every guest. Because I'm like, hey, I can write it myself, or I can upload your LinkedIn profile to ChatGPT, have it write it, make some changes based off what I know about where we go. What still makes people want to engage in a relationship, business or personal, is that humanity. And I think we've still got a long time before the AI is so good that we don't know we're transacting with someone who's not a human.
Here's the thing. So I have two things to say about this. Okay. I gave a talk about it's been 8 months already called Intelligent, Not Insightful, about AI.
I like it. That's a good name.
Thank you. AI is intelligent, it's not insightful. The human still brings the insight. And that's not because AI is only regurgitating what you're giving it.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's not coming up with new ideas. And the new ideas still come to you. And the second thing I have to say about this is authenticity is everything. You can't, as a founder, come in tomorrow and pretend and show what you're doing and pretend that this is going to, 2 days from now, everybody's going to think you're amazing, right? Has radical transparency helped Radical? Yes, of course. Radical. By the way, the idea to name the agency Radical was my brother. I
I guess he is a genius.
He is. He's amazing. He's so talented. I started the radical transparency thing in 2020, and I didn't. I did it because COVID, and people were on Zoom, and I was frustrated, and I won't tell the whole story, but it was just me. And am I seeing some benefits of that now that I've opened my agency? I'm not gonna lie. Yes, it's helped me. I come on sometimes. People don't necessarily know. I come on. I'm like, oh, you're the radical transparency person. I follow you. That's happened a couple of times, and I got my first clients from some of my followers, no question.
Yeah.
But that it's not, if you come in and say I'm going to build a following and therefore I will, that people see through that in a second. If you're not coming from a place that's authentic, nobody's going to believe you.
And that's the differences in how we communicate, right? Both my parents are teachers. And as my sales coach says to me, Trevor, you need to be more empathetic with your leads. And I say, my kids don't get empathy. Why would my sales prospects? And what I care about really is solving the go-to-market problem a company has. That's interesting. The people part, I don't care as much about, which is why my content's all about, hey, here's the systems, the processes, the way to solve the problem. And that's authentic for me, right?
Yeah.
I can't pretend, this sounds horrible, I can't pretend to care about people as like, your startup is hard. Yes, it is. I am sorry, but also fundamentally, I don't care. But your startup is hard. You have a problem that I know how to solve. That's interesting now. Let's talk. Right? And
It's really funny. I feel like seeing one of these things is not like the other.
no, we're definitely two different sides of a coin, which is great. Part of why do a lot of the feel and your logo should be blue because it's the right taste for your logo or whatever. I don't care about it, right? It doesn't matter to me. But it doesn't mean I'm the only right way to do it. It just means when your head is like mine, this is the way you solve this problem. And so I couldn't pretend to be like you, right? That's important to think about when you're as a founder. I have to be authentic. You have to be you authentic. People see me on stream. I'm sarcastic, I'm irreverent, and you'll very rarely see me talk about an emotion in me or anybody else, because am I on the spectrum? I don't know, but I also don't care about emotions. So maybe, who knows, regardless.
I guess so, yeah.
Like,
and I've been on the verge of tears twice in this conversation alone. Yeah, there you have it. And
it's fun.
Somehow you and I get along great. There you have it.
We do. I think I'm at least human enough to acknowledge that emotions matter to people, right? They just don't matter to me. It's fine. So be authentic for you is what's important. I couldn't
Yes.
pretend to be Inbar, and you would fail at being me. So that's
Yes.
fine.
Miserably.
Don't
Yes.
be Gary V. Be when you're being you online.
Yes.
So you've been early in a lot of companies.
Yes.
Radical is new.
Yes.
What made you decide the next thing for you after your last job wasn't joining another company, but instead saying, I'm going to do my own thing now?
Because I decided to be kind to myself.
Oh, it's easy being an entrepreneur. What made you say that was
Because when you're working for other people and making them a lot, okay. I'm gonna say this. I love the companies I worked for. I learned so much working for them. I would not be as knowledgeable, as experienced. I wouldn't be able to open Radical if it wasn't for the 15 years I spent helping build up some of the best startups in the world. Okay, I will say that. However, working for a company is a transaction. As long as they are happy with you, they will pay you a check. As long as it's convenient for them to pay you a check, they will pay you a check. When it stops being
convenient
convenient
for?
for
That
them,
sounds very mercenary.
but it is. It's a transactional relationship, and it. I've always been a free spirit, and when I went into being an employee, I had to temper that down a lot, and I spent a lot of years and a lot of money on therapy trying to stop being a free spirit. And then sometime in June of 2021, I think I dyed my hair purple and it was all downhill from there.
Sure.
And it was just it was a long process. It took me a year. You and I talked when I initially was banding this about. It took me a
Yeah.
year, and it took me a year and change to get up the nerve to just say it's time. But
Got
I knew it was time for me to stop working for others and start working for myself. And I can tell you, and by the way, my brother, the same thing. He's like a free spirit. We're both like, we're these quirky, crazy people, and we just want to be ourselves. And we're both very talented, and we know our S, and we just wanna have fun. And we have been having a blast and doing amazing work. I'm so proud of the work we've been doing.
That's
I
excellent.
haven't had this much fun in Lord knows how long, and I haven't had this much trust in myself in Lord knows how long, because I finally decided to be kind to myself and just do what I'm good at, and it's awesome.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs end up one way or the other coming to the moment where the freedom matters more than the paycheck. Like I've talked a bunch on different podcasts about this, right? Last year was a horrible year for me. Revenue dropped
Yeah,
like 60% year over year.
yeah,
Um, I could earn more than triple what I made last year working for somebody as a CMO.
yeah,
And I would note, even without having to constrain myself in ways you felt necessary, because life's not fair. Women have to conform more than men do, right? The last company I worked for, I'm not wearing their hoodie today, about 8 months after I got hired, I was doing hiring, and I happened to
mm-hmm,
find the hiring notes they wrote for me.
yeah,
And the one line summary was crazy, but I think I like it, right?
mm-hmm,
And I'm like, that's fair. Like,
yeah,
I can accept that as a judgment about me.
yeah,
I could earn more somewhere else, but I have found I am bad at listening to other people tell me what to do now.
yeah,
And so the option to earn more money is there, but the freedom of set my own big goal, set my own agenda, and do what I want is enough where, despite my wife's quiet despair over the last year, no, we're doing this because I think the best good I can do in the world is to take what I know and not have one company benefit from as many as I can. That's my logic.
both me and my brother, every single person who has seen us in the last couple of months, who hasn't seen us for a while, has told us, I have not seen you this happy. I have not seen you look this
Oh, wow.
good, this content in years. And that speaks for itself, and that's worth more than money.
Awesome. So, entrepreneurs, take the jump. It's not easy. Embar never
It's
said this was
not.
easy. I don't say it's easy either, right? Last year sucked, but even still,
We launched in the middle of a war.
that's true. Yes, yes. Oh, to be fair, whether or not you were working for somebody else, the war would still be happening. We cannot, unless unless there's certainly bizarre butterfly effect happening here. You taking a job somewhere else would not
Would
abnegate
not have.
the
Yeah.
horrible goings on right now. So, all right,
But yeah, no, but it was, it is, I told this to my brother, I tell this to him a lot. Best decision I've made in the last decade, apart from
excellent,
having my children, was starting this
excellent,
business with him.
excellent. I hope anybody listening here can say the same thing in a few years about their choice to launch something. Entrepreneur, radical mom, unwilling inhabitant of a place in the midst of a horrible event.
Yes.
There's a lot going on in your head day to day. How do you unwind? How do you unpack what's dealable?
Apart from too much TikTok, I have been escaping deeply into Doctor Who. And yeah, and fantasy. And
David Tennant
sci-fi.
came back for 4 episodes. Were you
It
excited?
was unhinged. I was so excited. I was unhingedly excited. And sci-fi audiobooks and fantasy audiobooks are
Oh,
my,
cool.
Yes, I'm very big.
Speaking
into
of
sci-fi.
books,
Yes.
tell me a book that you think an entrepreneur should read. Doesn't have to be nonfiction. I had Benny Rubin a while back. He gave the name of a book that is the name escapes me. Sorry, Benny, if you're watching, but it was about the Japanese salaryman's life. Just that was it.
Honestly, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Ah, really? Okay. I
I
honestly
know.
didn't need to read it. At least I don't think I saw the title and went, I'm pretty sure I've got that on lockdown already, and never read the book.
You'd think so, and I thought so too. And then I ended up reading it like right as we were starting the company, and I'm really glad I did. It's an easy read. It's funny. There's a few gimmies there, but the end is a gut punch, and it's worth it.
Okay, excellent advice. You
Also,
had
Bossy
mentors.
Pants by Tina Fey, because everybody needs to read some Tina Fey, but that's a whole
Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. I have not. That's that autobiographical or is that fiction?
autobiographical. Yes,
Okay,
essays.
so I have not read it. I can put it on my list. I read 187 books last year, according to Kindle. So that's probably not a good thing. Like I've spent more time doing something more useful, maybe. But whatever.
Have you read Project Hail Mary?
I have not.
Trevor, you need to read Project Hail Mary.
I'll
Put this
I
on your
c-
list now.
I'll put this on my list. Is Project Hail Mary?
You cannot, as a sci-fi fan, and I know you are a sci-fi fan,
I am.
you are doing yourself a disservice. It is the best sci-fi book to come out in the last decade, easy.
Have you read Red Shirts by John Scalzi?
No, I have not, and I'm putting that on my list now.
Do. It is metatextually, like, I think he got nominated for the Hugo for it, and I read it and I went,
Okay.
yeah, I see it. Sometimes you're like, why? This one I'm like, no, he deserved it. That was a real good book.
Noted. I'm
All right.
taking that up.
But before you
Yes.
get too nerdy, right?
Yes.
We got, I think 6 minutes left before I got to wrap.
Yep.
So, what's the best piece of advice someone gave you as you were getting ready, as you're making this decision, this hard one, to make Radical be the next thing?
Yeah.
You talked to a bunch of people. I was one of them. I'm not going to pretend I was the best advice you got. What was the best advice you got for someone who's looking at, I want to be an entrepreneur. How do I talk to myself about it?
Don't expect to make money in the first year.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Um,
The
but-
business is not a way to get rich. Like,
Yep.
too many folks are like, I'll be a millionaire. No, probably not.
But then the other side of that was my brother, which was be kind. Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
And
Awesome.
I think that's more important, honestly.
Awesome. So, you have any last thoughts? You want to wrap this episode up with a bow and say, "Hey, this is the
And here's the thing. I think I want everybody to take into. If I could give everybody a thing, for this year's gonna suck for probably most of the world. Let's just be honest, right? There's so many things that are just gonna be terrible, and you're gonna open up news sites, and you're gonna be just mad. And there's so many things that are gonna make you mad. And I know, because that's where I've been for the last. And so this is your future talking. You're going to open up news sites and you're going to feel helpless and you're going to feel mad at the world and it's going to be awful. And the best thing you can possibly do for yourself is to remember that you can still be kind. And that you have control over your immediate environment to do that. And just because the rest of the world doesn't seem kind doesn't mean that you can't be kind to yourself and to others. And I've made it my mission for this year to continue to be kind to myself and to continue to be kind to the people around me in the face of all of this terrible horribleness. And I want everybody else to be kind to themselves in the face of all this terrible horribleness. And I think that is the only way anybody will survive this.
Excellent.
I know that's not
Well, thank you.
very marketing-y, but I think
Doesn't
it's
have to be.
important.
Doesn't have to be. So, thank you for your time this evening where you are, Inbar. Next week, I have founder of Growth Sprints and All In and Growing Up and expert in how SaaS companies lend customers, Brendan Hufford, coming on board the show. So be sure to subscribe or follow on social media so you don't miss his discussion, too. Thanks so much, Inbar.
Thanks for having me, Trevor. It's been a pleasure.